Hurt and disbelief. Those are the first emotions Travis Kelce feels when a store manager rejects him. What started as a simple shopping trip turned into a battle of principles and a life-changing moment for both of them. But in that moment, he found a way to break through a wall of pride and offer a surprising act of generosity. The old-fashioned store creaked with life as the bell above the door chimed. It was a brisk afternoon in a small Missouri town where nothing ever happened, until it did. Travis Kelce, the NFL star who commanded crowds, walked in, unnoticed at first. His tall frame was cloaked by a black hoodie, his hat pulled low, trying to blend in. He had traveled here to escape the constant flash of cameras, to experience the normalcy he often longed for. A trip to the local store seemed like the perfect way to recharge. He glanced at the shelves, touching a box of cereal, noting the simplicity of it all. A few people looked up, but none recognized him. Perfect. Travis headed to the counter with his purchases, snacks, a bottle of water, and a local magazine. But as his items clinked on the counter, the store manager, Linda, a woman in her mid-40s with sharp features, shot him a cold glance. There was no friendly smile, no recognition of the familiar face, only a direct, almost confrontational gaze. "You're going to need to step aside," Linda said bluntly, as she moved to help the next customer. Travis furrowed his brow. "I'm just here to buy a few things, no big deal." "No, I'm not serving you," Linda snapped, her voice laced with irritation. "We don't give special treatment around here." The tension in the air was immediate, and the room fell silent. A few heads turned, whispers started. Travis stood frozen, his face a mask of confusion, trying to comprehend what was happening. Linda's words hung heavy in the air. The other customers, unsure how to react, exchanged curious glances. For a moment, it seemed like a misunderstanding, a joke. But Linda wasn't smiling. Her arms were crossed, her jaw set in defiance. "I don't know what you think you're entitled to, but around here, you follow the rules like everyone else," she added, her tone sharp. Travis, a man accustomed to handling public pressure, felt a surge of discomfort. He wasn't angry, not yet, but he was caught off guard. He looked around, meeting the eyes of the small crowd that had gathered. "I'm not asking for anything special. I'm just here to buy some snacks," Travis replied, his voice calm but laced with confusion. Linda narrowed her eyes. "People like you think you can just waltz in and get what you want. Not in this store. Not under my watch." The room was tense. A few murmurs began to stir. "Is that Travis Kelce?" someone whispered. But Linda was relentless. She didn't care about his fame. She wasn't impressed by his wealth or his sports achievements. All she saw was a man she assumed to be just another celebrity who wanted to take advantage of his status. Travis swallowed his frustration, forcing a smile, trying to maintain his composure. "I just wanted to pay for my things and leave. I don't need the drama." Linda's expression didn't soften. "We don't need your kind of drama here." As Travis reached into his pocket, ready to pay, something unexpected happened. The whispers turned into murmurs of disbelief, but Travis kept his cool. He wasn't going to let this woman, who clearly had deep personal reasons for her stance, tear him down. Something had to be done, and he would make sure it was done in the right way. Rather than walk out, Travis did something that shocked everyone in the room. Without hesitation, He reached for the store's old receipt book. Linda watched, her arms still crossed, her gaze hard. What was he doing? He placed the money for his snacks on the counter and then added an additional amount, far more than he owed. "I'm buying these," he said, motioning to a few items on the shelves, old goods that had been sitting for months, collecting dust. Linda raised an eyebrow. "What's this supposed to be?" "Just a little something extra," Travis said quietly, his eyes never leaving hers. "A token of goodwill." He reached into his jacket pocket, pulling out another envelope, this time filled with cash. "And here's a donation for your store. Maybe it'll help clear up some of those dusty shelves." Linda's eyes widened. She couldn't comprehend what was happening. The NFL star she had tried to humiliate, who she assumed was just another entitled celebrity, was now giving away money, anonymously, with no strings attached. Her pride was bruised, but something deeper stirred in her. Could it be that he wasn't who she thought he was? Travis didn't stick around. He turned, leaving the store in silence. Linda stood frozen behind the counter, her eyes following the store's customers exchanged bewildered glances. No one had ever seen anything like this before. Travis had just left without the usual headlines, without the fuss, just an act of simple kindness. Linda was alone later that evening, as the store closed for the day. The cash envelope sat in front of her, its contents more than enough to cover her rent for the month. But it wasn't the money that made her heart race. It was the note inside, written in Travis's familiar handwriting. "It's the small things that matter, just like your store. I hope this helps. Travis." Linda stared at the note for what felt like hours. She had always believed that fame and wealth were corrupting forces, creating people who couldn't understand struggle. But Travis's gesture was completely opposite. Humble, generous, thoughtful. It wasn't about buying his way into her favor. It was about recognizing the value of something simple and beautiful. Community. She could feel the weight of her past judgments lift, replaced by a sense of deep, humbling gratitude. The following morning, Linda unlocked the store and looked at the items that Travis had bought. She found herself smiling. The dusty shelves looked different now, as if they had a chance to be filled with new hope. A few locals had already shown up to support her, eager to purchase what had once sat stagnant on the shelves. They'd heard about Travis's unexpected generosity. That evening, Linda reached out to him via social media, sharing her heartfelt thanks for his kindness. To her surprise, he replied with a warm message, inviting her to a charity event he was hosting. At the event, Linda and Travis finally came face to face. No cameras, no publicists, just two people who had learned something from each other. Linda confided in Travis about her struggles, and he shared his challenges with fame. The connection was real, raw, and mutual. They stood side by side, not as a star and a store manager, but as two people who had found common ground in a world that often divides. Travis's simple gesture had changed everything. Linda stood in her store, now buzzing with life. A new sign hung above the counter. "Everyone is welcome here." The store had transformed, and so had she. The lesson was clear. The small things matter the most.